Be very careful what you wish for, because our segment today looks at this. The president wants to expand overtime. He says that if you clock the extra hours, you should get the extra pay, which of course sounds good. Until you start thinking about all of these public workers who were clocking a lot of unusually high overtime extra pay. Take a look at some of these examples. These are the judge's legal fees for a single day's work. In New York, one safety and security officer at a Bronx psychiatric center racked up over $114,000 in overtime pay. Still another treatment assistant was paid $184,000 last year, making $115,000 of it in overtime, more than doubling his $68,000 base salary. Finally, my favorite one here, a prison guard earning more than Governor Cuomo himself, taking home a salary of over $200,000. Now, keep in mind, for many of these public workers, their highest year of total earnings often counts as the level at which their benefits are eventually based. That is something that you and I pay to the Heritage Foundation's Genevieve Wood on how easily this thing could get abused, and then some. You know, I mean, it's ripe for fraud here.
Neil, and it doesn't just happen in places like New York State. The Department of Homeland Security, they had millions that came in on overtime pay, and it was very questionable that many of these employees were actually even working. They were checking their personal email, watching television. I mean, it's totally ripe for abuse. But let's be honest, I think this is political shenanigans by President Obama. It's an election year soundbite so that he can act like he's helping folks. When the sad part of this is, I mean, we can all laugh about some of these numbers, but the reality is I think this is could end up hurting the very folks President Obama says he wants to help.
You know, I get a little weird thinking about, all right, it's one thing you're demanding businesses up their minimum wage, whether they can afford it or not. Now you're giving them all these burdens of the health care law, again, whether they can address them or not. In other words, equating them and drawing no differentiation between whether you're McDonald's or your Max Pizza. And one burden after another you just assume they can take on. They can't take it on.
No, they can't take it on. And let's be clear, we've already seen this with Obamacare. What happens? Businesses decide not to hire new people. They start taking people who are full-time or who are working a certain number of hours a week, put them under the new caps the government puts in so they don't have to pay extra money. The exact same kind of thing is going to happen here. And listen, for a lot of folks out there, for example, who are part-time or who are flex-time workers, let's say, people who maybe work from home, they work per project, not per hour. Under these new proposed rules, if it's up to $50,000, which is what we saw in the New York Times today, what about folks who are making $40,000 working from home? Now business is going to say every time you check your email, every time you log into your iPhone or BlackBerry or surf the web, you've got to start clocking that time to make sure you're not working overtime. I mean, this is going to put a lot of burden on businesses,
I never thought of that.
But also on the employee.
No, I never thought of that, which is why having you on is so enlightening. Thank you, Genevieve. It was great seeing you. Let's have you on again soon. In the meantime.